I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, April the 16th, brought to you in part by Zactran. Stress opens the gate to bovine respiratory disease. Slam it shut with Zactran. Remember to observe your 35-day withdrawal period after treatment. For more information, go to Zactran.com or visit with your BI representative. A steady failure happened on Thursday. Everything was set up for us to gain another $2 or $3 in your fat cattle market. We'd gained almost 10 since we had hung up there at that 114 for so long there several weeks ago. But the feedlots pretty much just gave up trying anymore. They got the basis back, and then you get in the southern plains, Kansas and Texas, you got basis jumpers right there. And they were just happy not losing $2 or $3 on their trade out on their hedge. So they got pretty close and they just kind of give it up. And that's a frustrating thing. We're the only industry in the world that bets against itself every round. And then whenever you get close to trading your real product there, then you give it up. Whenever the basis gets close. And we didn't even have a positive basis. Very frustrating. Box beef cutout values continued to launch all this week. They were weaker earlier in the week, and then they've taken that back and gotten to new highs for this time of the year under normal conditions. But I just want to show you guys kind of what cattle ought to be bringing. You guys can look at this, and I know this is kind of rough, but this is basically how it works. And if you asked a packer, he'd say, oh, no, there's a lot more to it than that, but there's really not. You look at your breakdown on your quality grades on the left-hand side there. You see we've got prime, which would be 10 plus or plus 10 from your choice. And I know these are rough, but they're close enough. You look at your choice, what it's bringing, your select, what it's bringing, and your standards or no rolls, and being real conservative there and taking 50 off for those. But then you look at the percent grading from the nation here last week, and so that's the percentages down through the middle of what cattle are grading, typical cattle, and most all of them are grading choice, of course, and more cattle are now grading prime than select, partly because we take cattle to obese weights more often now. Probably won't be doing that in the near future with the cost of gains or what they're going to be or what feed costs are going to be. But also has a lot to do, I believe, with this this camera grading that we have now, because it's very forgiving there. But unheard of that we have more primes than we do select, but that's how it's broke down. And then you see there's very few cattle that don't make at least the select grade there. Younger steers and heifers, that is. And then you multiply those together and you get the breakdown of what an average price steer or heifer would be, and you bring it down, and an average price on one would be about $275.19. Okay, you take that $275.19, take it times 63.5, which is the average on your dressing percentage. That takes you to $174.75. So basically, your live market should be $175. That's if they were just washing out there. If we were getting what the market is. But of course, your packers got to make something, and it costs something to kill them. Well, don't forget they get to keep the drop value. You see the drop value over there. It's nearly $10. And you take that and add it up, and it's $131.17 a head that they get for the hide and the guts. And every time you went through a plant, they're harvesting something in there, some little specific thing, and sending it somewhere. Don't tell me they're including the value of those things, in those drop values that they report. But they get to keep that $131.17 for kill costs. And kill costs typically average around $125 a head on one of those high volume packing plants right there. So they're taking care of their costs right there. You take that 1,400 pound steer or heifer there, Take it times the 120 that we got in the Southern Plains on Thursday, adds up to $1,680. You take that same 1,400 pound steer or heifer times the 175, which is what we could be getting, and it's $2,450. So you take the $2,450 from the $1,680, what your market should be against what your market is. There's a $770 per head packer profit. You see it, quoted all the time, different places as $400 and some dollars. Bullshit. They're making almost $800. That's on a typical load of cattle there, a typical steer off a typical load of cattle. You think that they couldn't share part of that? And you think you couldn't hold their feet to the fire to give up a little more of that? And, I've heard guys talking to their packer buyers, they just couldn't give it. They just, by gosh, they just couldn't give any more than steady money, and everybody just decided to take it because we had some outside things, jacking with our board this week, and it kind of weakened there late in the week. But it's just pitiful that your feedlots can't get together more and try to do something. They're always trying to get the better of one another. Guys gridding their cattle, and I plus the market. I did better than the guy down the road. I tell you what, if you'd get together with the guy down the road, maybe you could kind of cohesively push this market up. But we've got several marketing groups, Consolidated Beef Producers, got some outfits that are more kind of localized in the northern plains or in the Midwest, Producers of Omaha, some outfits like that. Iowa Cattlemen's Association has a marketing group there. You could get together with those guys, get them enough cattle, and it would be enough to help push this market up. But I tell you what, the guys that are still selling cash cattle, they're just the most stubborn, hard-headedest guys you ever see, and they're very individualistic, and they want to keep that, and so they won't get together, and the packers are taking advantage of it. But I just about screamed it from the rooftop more than I can. But if you guys want to continue to piss your cattle away, it's your business. How about what else is going on? Drove through the Flint Hills coming back from northwest Missouri, and indeed they did get most of those big pastures burned off there, and some of them had just been burned a few days. I tell you what, you could already see that good fresh tender grass coming up, and cattle already turned out there. A lot of bigger cattle turned out. I didn't see many cattle that looked like they weighed less than 700 pounds out there, and that's what they really want. If they can get a 200 pound plus gain in 90 days on them big 7-weight cattle that weigh in the nines, pushing 1,000 pounds with high feed costs, that's kind of what you want. But look pretty good out there, and I always enjoy going through there this time of year, or really any time of the year for that matter. Let's talk about your board. On Thursday, April live cattle futures down $0.50 at 121.60. June was down 40 cents at 119.65. Going out from there, and they were down 47 cents to down 95 cents. April feeder cattle down $1.10 at 140.05. May was down $1 even at 144.42. Going out from there on your feeder cattle futures, down 80 cents to down $1.27. Your grains were more calm here on Thursday after being very volatile, and mostly volatile in a downward motion middle part of the week there. But you look, and it's still holding up there pretty good on your out fronts on your feeder cattle contracts. So if you guys, if you haven't already done it, which I can't believe it if you haven't, but if you got cattle turned out this summer, going to have your yearling feeders coming off late summer or fall, still pretty good. Your fall contracts are still 157 to 158 out there for feeder cattle. August is backed up now, and it's only 155.60, but still, that's an awful good price, and if you can't make money at that, either your cattle didn't gain or you gave too much for them as stockers. How about your fat cattle trade? Had trade in pretty much every area, and I'm talking about how disappointing it was. It was unevenly steady, but basically steady is where it ended up, and there'll be some more cleanup trade, likely steady. here on Friday to finish up because they haven't really sold that many cattle, or the packers haven't bought that many cattle. So we'll see more trade. How about Iowa? Confirmed sales 5,300 on Thursday, about 6,000 heads all for the week. Live prices 122 to 125, pretty much steady. 193 to mostly all 196. Nebraska, 16,400 head on Thursday, just a few more than that for the week. 122 to 126, mostly 124. Dress sales 195 to mostly 196. Kansas, 8,800 head on Thursday, 12,500 for the week. 119 to 121, mostly split right between 120 and 121, and that was about steady too. A few 196 dress sales in Kansas. Texas, about 3,000 head, 4,300 head for the week, pretty much all at 120. And Colorado hasn't sold but 600 head this week and really hasn't established a market. But look at your box beef cutout values that I was talking about earlier. 276.62 for a choice carcass cuts there, up 371. Selects 268.43, up $1.12. And you know that choice select spread got down there less than $4 earlier in the week. It spread back out to $8.19 on Thursday afternoon. Your slaughter 457,000. It should have been more than that. Some of these plants have had a little technical problems this week, but they'd like to slaughter more, and that means they'd have to buy more cattle. But tell you what, they'll come to you guys and tell you the big sad story about how they don't have room for you, and you guys will buy it every time. 457,000. That's down 7,000 from last week, but up 94,000 from same week a year ago when we were struggling with COVID. Actual slaughter data for the week ending April the 3rd had your dressed carcass steer on the average at 894 pounds. That's 5 pounds lighter than the previous report. We've been expecting that. We're finally starting to see it. What else is going on? This Friday here, I'm going to be heading out to Fallon, Nevada for the Nevada Livestock Marketing's last monthly special till next fall or till late in the fall there. But been having a good time going out there once a month and helping auctioneer those specials, and it's just a different experience for me. We've got California buyers and they've been struggling. They had just enough moisture to tease them, and then a lot of them come in there and bought some cattle, but tell you what, it's been really dry out there, and you notice that looking at your Western video market that was held in Turlock, California on Thursday, but they had an awful good market there, and they had an awful good lamb market, and actually the replacement stock that was there sold pretty good too. I saw some first calf heifer pairs at $1,600, which doesn't sound like a drought out price to me. But guys would sure like to have kept them or got more for them. But on your Western video market there, I saw a top stick out sale there. It was the Tim O'Connor cattle there from Klamath Falls, Oregon. They sold on there. These cattle were verified natural, mind you. 255 head of those 880-pound steers for current delivery at $158, guys. Big time price there on some value-added cattle there, and the premiums are real, guys. You need to look into that. A lot of you guys, I know a lot of you aren't completely natural, but a lot of you guys are raising cattle that could already qualify for these programs, and some of you, it wouldn't take a whole lot of tweaking. Maybe just sort one off whenever you if you have to doctor it, or just mark it with a different ear tag or something. You can sort it out later. It wouldn't be that big a deal, but they've got to be in one of those verified programs, guys. And I know you don't like people coming to your place and nosing around, but for these kind of premiums, it's worth it. And I think you guys should sure look into it. They had about 5,000 head of sheep on the Western video market sale, and the lambs sold from $194 to $240 a pound. So that looked pretty good to me out there. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market on Thursday there. Real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Thursday, 141.21, down 98 cents. And I tell you what, we saw that earlier in the week. It just really fell off. These feed costs are real, guys, and everybody knows it. And it's sure going to cost $1.20. and up to put a pound on in the feedlot, and that's a hell of a lot more than what we've been used to. So, you know, the guys are backing off of them, and it happened fast. Some of these big outfits were taking $6, $8 off their orders for feeder cattle there middle of the week whenever we saw your grain markets jump up so much. But how about some of your big sales around on Thursday? Winter livestock, Pratt, Kansas, 4,200 head there. Feeders, $2 to $8 lower. Calves, soft calves, new croppers, $8 to $10 lower. That's a hunk to take off, guys, and we hate to see it. How about farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas? Around 5,000 head of cattle altogether. Very hard to read the federal state market report out there. I'm not sure who they have, but they're incompetent. But it was all over the place on the trends there, but mostly lower. But on the feeder steers, and I did notice that on the automated report, that those feeder type steers, your popular weights from 7, 8s, and 9s are actually higher. And had some good northern orders in there, and several of these strings that I put up here for you. Look at these loads of cattle and bigger. They don't look too awful bad, and you know, they may not have had as hot a sale last week as some of the markets, but that doesn't look too awful bad right there. But you look at right there in the middle at the stick out deal that I see that I want to quote: 102 head, 749 pound feeder steers in Salina, Kansas, bring $153. Good quote. Hottest sale I saw anywhere on Thursday was Ogallala livestock, 3,600 head there in Nebraska. You look at this report here out of Ogallala, and my goodness, look at these, all these quotes in these weight groups could be individual quotes. Look at 715 head of the 6-weight stocker steers, mostly in Ogallala. They averaged 170.98, all of them. That was $1 more than the 5-weights average. Of course, a lot of them would have been softer new crop calves and weren't as attractive to the buyers. But in those 715, it included 99 head of 643 pound steers at $189. Goodness. 423 head of the 8-weight steers averaged $857 at $142.94. We mentioned Turlock earlier. Give you a quote out of there. They had a regular sale, or kind of a special, right after the Western Video Market sale, so kind of took advantage of the crowd and the attention there. But Turlock Livestock Auction Yard in Turlock, California, tell you what, pretty dry right in that area, and they're still selling lighter weight cattle pretty darn good. Max Oliveira sold 75 head, 584 pound steers at $173.25. But your top quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, and your Zactran top quote for the day, indeed out of Ogallala, Nebraska, 326 head in one whack, weighed $855 and $146. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.